Okay, that should do it.
Are we good on our levels?
Yeah, I believe so.
Test.
Yeah, we're good.
So I was saying, I visited Eric yesterday
Okay.
at his home, and he was showing me some of his art, and one of the things he showed me was a kind of what's called, like, I guess, gesture drawing,
Okay.
which is like you do like quick drawings of people kind of like moving. You're just trying to capture like, well, what he was doing, it was like he was doing it based off of MMA fights, you know.
People like their MMA movements.
Yeah, and so he was doing like a blind contour, meaning like he's looking at the action and not at the drawing he's working on at all. And he's kind of just like repeatedly like drawing the movements that he's seeing on the TV or computer, whatever.
How exactly? How would that look like exactly?
It looks a little like there's a lot. It's very.
I took a picture if you,
Oh, you have.
if you just want that. I can go in the other room and grab my phone.
Yeah, you can see it. It's a very energetic look. You know.
Yeah, why not?
It's worth anyway, but I could continue to say what I'm saying, but like I was ridiculously impressed with the idea because it seems like it would be a very nice like type of art to like market and sell.
So he drew that.
He drew it, but I love the idea, so I want to steal the idea and run with it because I think it's incredible. Because like, and then I was telling him about the site. I have a bunch of my work on this website called Saatchi Art.
Okay.
And I was telling him that, like, I think that drawings over, like, paintings or sculptures, they seem to do really well on that site, you know? And I looking at this kind of drawing he did.
It just looks like that.
Okay, so that would be like representing movements of a fight.
Yeah, like, he's observing and drawing,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, so as the fight's happening, I'm trying to draw basically as fast as I can.
Oh, you're
like
tracing
what
that
I'm
movement,
seeing.
kind of. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's ever changing, so I'm
Okay.
never really landing on anything.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think mine will look a little bit different, but I think just using that, and I was thinking of experimenting with different, like, media to give it a more, like, graphic punch. I was thinking a nice fat marker or something.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
To see what,
Go ahead.
you know, how, like, make it, just try and refine that aesthetic, you know,
I think a Sharpie would be like a regular Sharpie.
would be good.
Yeah,
I-
like
I-
that thick.
I like the concept, but I guess if people know that going in, but if somebody just looks at that, I think it would be hard for them to think, oh, this is somebody trying to capture MMA movements.
That's what the title is. Baby.
Yeah, so that's what I figured too. It's like when you title them, you can be like
Okay.
MMA, like I don't
You
know,
do like Joey versus Smith.
yeah, round, blah blah blah. Like you title it like that, and I think that's like another good idea because that's going to connect people back to that, and they'll be like, oh my god, you know.
I've tried that before, tweeting people, like famous people things, so like get their attention, to give myself attention.
Yeah.
Which is what everybody else does. But they never answer, you know?
No, I don't use Twitter at all. I never use Twitter.
I mean, you might be, I don't know. I think I've heard a lot of people, it depends, I guess. Some people exclusively use that. Some people exclusively use Instagram.
Yeah,
It depends, I guess.
I tend to focus on Instagram.
Yeah. I've kind of like falling off. I haven't posted anything in a while on anything.
Yeah,
I noticed. Well, I noticed because like sometimes you'll post. I'm like, oh yeah.
He's still around. Yeah, I've been trying to be very committed to posting every single day and stuff like that.
Oh, you were in Manhattan last night. What was that about? Cheeky.
Think about it. Think about it.
Okay.
You gotta get it. It's a puzzle. If you know how to read between the lines.
You're having sex with prostitutes in New York.
Yes, exactly.
I know how to read between the lines. You know,
Yeah.
tell me twice. Okay.
Because I posted last night, and I posted this drawing, and I tagged.
Was that a recent job? Like you just did it? Or?
I did it. No, I did it like last year.
Who did you
okay.
tag?
I put a location tag for Times Square in
so
New York.
it's part of like the concept.
In a way.
But you weren't really
Yes,
there.
I was not there. Okay. But I was in the highest, brightest place imaginable. So I put like, what is the highest, brightest place? And that is the
Could have
center.
been Las Vegas, but
No,
that's
because
Sin City though.
yeah, people like, that's the thing. It's like, I was at the center of it, you know? So it's like, that Times Square is like the center of the
That's
world.
true.
You know?
It's-
It's like the ultimate like place, you know?
Yeah,
Everybody
everybody wants to
go
go
there.
there. Yeah.
For some- I don't know why.
You know, it was funny
I
because
hate that place.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
too many people.
me too.
I hate like Times Square is like the big thing everybody wants to go to. But yeah, that is Times Square is my least favorite place in New York.
Yeah,
Me
it
too.
just has all like the regular
Yeah.
chain kind of things.
Yeah.
Sbarro and shit. It's like,
Yeah.
who the fuck
I,
wants to go to
I don't. The locals I don't think like it either.
No, of course not. It's just like I think in every like major city that has like a big tourist thing, like they all have their thing like that. You know, Times Square in New York is just like the biggest like quintessential one like that.
Even in New York City, although there's a lot of craziness around that area, there's some nice like back streets and calmer little places, even really close to there. You know.
Yes.
So I think that's nice, and obviously then you have upstate New York. We've said this before. I think that people think New York, they think that craziness, but New York is enormous. You know, there's so much more than that.
Are you talking about New York City or New York State?
Well, New York State, but even New York City is a lot more than just that. You know.
I was joking when I my old job with one of my coworkers, and he's like, "Some people think Harlem is upstate New York." Really cool, dude.
I guess it depends where you're standing from.
Yeah, that's it. The joke he was
It's where the
making.
World Trade Center, I guess. So.
Yeah.
I rode my bike to Harlem once. As soon as I got to Harlem, I turned around.
You rode all the way to Harlem?
Yeah.
God
From
damn.
here?
No, from World Trade. It's
That's a long fucking ride.
Yeah,
man.
totally, yeah.
That's a nice one.
It's like 100 blocks at least.
How do you
Yeah.
even bike in like New York?
There's plenty of bike paths in New
Yeah,
York.
there's a lot of
Bike paths.
Yeah.
I forgot about
Yeah.
those.
Although sometimes there isn't, and that's when it gets really exciting.
Yeah, the bike path, like from World Trade Center, you can take that all the way to Harlem.
Oh, the one on by the water?
Yeah, Battery Park. That's a pretty nice one.
Oh, yeah.
I think nothing beats Times Square. Though Times Square is the best. You haven't ridden there yet, right?
You mean Central Park?
Central Park, sorry.
Yeah,
Central
yeah.
Park. Have you
No,
ridden
I never rode.
You should.
Yeah.
It's really
It
great.
seems like it'd be good.
It's great. It's great. It's like not just a bike path. Like the whole thing is bikes. Like every once in a while you'll see a cop drive by, but it's all people in bikes. You know, you see
I think
people
skateboarding would be fun.
people
too,
skateboarding,
for longboarding.
rollerblading. I saw a guy on like something that looked like a skateboard. Like
With
ro-
the pole. Yeah, you
rowing.
ever see that?
Like
They
a
row.
fucking ski.
Yeah, it's like it looks like they're rowing. You know, it's like
yeah,
skateboard
rowing.
with rowing.
I've seen a guy with no legs, like with a little like.
Oh, those dudes. Yeah.
Yeah,
You see everything.
They go flying.
yeah.
People like roller skating backwards. Those like really hardcore bikers with all the suits and the helmet and the little glasses, like
Yes,
Grant
so
Hardcore.
aerodynamic
Yeah,
pointy helmet.
with like perfect legs,
Condom
perfect
bikers.
Well, this guy got so pissed at me because I was like, I got into my music and like I kind of was negligent making a turn. And he's like, pay attention! Like he flew by. 'Cause some people like that's like their life,
They're intense.
Yeah.
Cycles.
But he's right though, Yeah, but I haven't ridden there in a few years.
It is very there's a lot of people out there and stuff.
I want to go back to just Central Park just to hang out.
It's really nice.
Yes.
I want to go back to the museum.
Yeah,
And
Which museum?
the
The one that's right there.
Oh, the Met.
Metropolitan.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them right there. Like Guggenheim is right there. too.
Yeah, Guggenheim is good.
I think that's the one that's like round, right?
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
around.
What else is there?
Take one.
The Whitney's pretty close to there too.
Is it? I thought they moved to
Oh, they might have. I don't know.
their like.
I thought the Whitney was. Whitney's very abstract things.
Ooh,
A
really?
lot of it is.
Yeah.
I don't like their collection as much as
Yeah.
they have a couple. Yeah, they have it's American art
Yeah.
and they have a pretty cool collection. But yeah, it's just after you've been to the Met, where it's
Yeah.
the Met or the MoMA. If you like modern art, it's
I haven't been to MoMA yet.
the MoMA is gonna dominate, and then if you like everything else, then it's the Met has such an incredible collection.
But MoMA is also mostly abstract, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very big on abstract.
I think they'll have impressionism and stuff like that, but it is modern art, and modern art is after a certain point, you're not going to see beautiful still life painting.
But if you're enlightened,
Yeah,
it
could be different.
You can look real nice.
I
I'm
think
sure anything.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
that might be worth.
I think it's interesting, but I still have a hard time. I think some people, yes, genuinely have a legitimate backstory as to why they paint what appears to be nonsense to me. And I feel like they're not BSing, and it really is meaningful to them, and it's meaningful to other people. I do think that is true,
Yeah.
but I have a hard time believing that that's the majority of people. I think the majority of people are just bullshitting.
Yeah.
Now I know. I mean, I just obviously, how am I going to prove that, and how are you going to prove the opposite? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just how could this really be meaningful to you? It seems like nonsense,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just what it strikes me as, because it doesn't represent, just by nature, humans like patterns. They like, nice trees and things that are pleasing to the eye. By nature, you don't like that. So it's very strange that generally people would find that appealing. I think
Yes.
at least.
And two
But you can
comments.
contradict me.
I know I'm dying to just not contradict you because I think you make many good points about it, and I think you're right. Like when we look at work, the general public does look at work that is really naturalistic, is well done.
Right.
There seems to be an instant respect for something that takes like skill. When we see something skillfully done, we're like that. That's why people do feel like, it's like a sham when you see like a strange minimalist like, stain on a canvas.
And sometimes it is though. Some people are actually full of shit. Even you would admit that, right?
I don't know. I'm sure they are.
Right.
I'm sure they are. To what extent and who is guilty, I don't know.
So what do you think?
What I was going to say is like the emergence of those art forms like was that was a series of like kind of like political ideas. It's like those painting styles, those art styles are very political. They're very political in the sense that they're almost responding to like an art world sensibility.
Responding to the norm, right?
So
like rebelling against the norm?
Yes. The norm of the art world, right? So
of like pretty pictures.
So there was what's called academic painting, which quick art history lesson. So it's like in the 17 and 1800s, you get what's called like the academy, right? And there's like royal academies. And basically like the paintings that are coming out of those academies are really beautiful, like realism. The figures look like classical paintings, like Renaissance. Like it has the Renaissance look, but like so it's people just basically continuing like much of the Renaissance tradition, and they're trying to make things like just improving that all the time. And then you start to get people that say like, oh well, this should not be our only like path to painting. And basically, like, the first, like, radical painters are the Impressionist painters. Because, like, they break with the tradition of the academies. And they're like, we're not gonna, like, make paintings in that way anymore.
So you think people generally aren't bullshitting when they do that?
It depends. I think nowadays, anybody who copies, like, Jackson Pollock's style, like, I feel like the people who look back at old styles of modernism and try to like bring those things back, I feel like
they're full of shit.
They have to kind of be a little full of shit because it's like I was saying, like the work made sense in its time more than
the culture isn't that anymore.
Right.
It's like a response.
It's like if you listen to the music from the 1920s and it's like swing like it's like for us listening to that music, it's going to always sound old. It's always going to like, it does not belong to this time.
Right. So do you think, I'm sure there's still a lot of people doing abstract art now, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so the people who aren't bullshitting, what is their angle on it currently?
If
they're not trying to imitate the past, what are they trying to do?
What's really funny, real quick, though, is like there was such a glut of like abstract painting in the 90s that was like going around. They created a new art title called Crapstraction because so many people were making like abstract works.
I'd like to work with that.
And then and they're very decorative pieces, it's like Crapstraction pieces. But I mean, there are still people that do things like...
What's their ideology of people who do it now? Like the ones who are honest about it, what would they say?
I don't know. Like, there's one guy I like a lot named Gerhard Richter who, like, for a long part of his career, like, he did very realistic kind of paintings. Mm-hmm. And now he does these, like, crazy paintings where he just does, like, a huge streak, and it's just, like, he just layers color and makes these, like, crazy streaks. The paintings are very beautiful with, like, these interactions, but I don't know, like... And I even watched a whole movie. It's a really cool movie called Gerhard Richter Painting, I believe.
But you don't know his ideas?
I don't know what like the philosophy is.
You don't have it in the movie?
I couldn't grasp it. It's like he talks about having, I guess just when you having this like compelling experience, like created by certain images. So it's the best I could figure out what he was doing.
So currently, you don't know the people who do it now. You don't know what their angle is.
I'm trying to think. I don't really look at too much work like that.
Okay. Jeff, what do you think? Do you think that kind of art is mostly bullshit, or you think it's mostly legit?
I think I agree with Ian, whereas in the past there was oh fuck. Fucking A.
Yeah. I did it too.
Oh crap.
In the past
you agree with James?
Yes. I agree with James.
Okay.
In the past I think there was more legitimateness just because there was a response. Whereas now people are going back and trying to recreate it. Just like when they go back and people are like, oh, 8-bit games, and you like remake it, and it's like,
yeah.
it's like, that's not 8-bit. 8-bit was due to limitations and restrictions,
Right.
And now it's like you have all these extra bits and you're calling this 8-bit. You know what I mean? That's a lot. So that's how I feel about
that kind of art.
that sort of art. That's how I feel about a lot of art that tries to replicate the past in a lot of ways. I'm like, is this authentic or not authentic?
So you think when it first was coming out, that kind of art was legit, but now people are bullshitting. Most likely.
Yeah, I would say I'm sure there's a lot of legit stuff out there.
Right.
I don't know everything, but I know people that I've seen do that, and I'm like, you're full shit. You know what I mean?
Right. So it's meant to be. So even back then, when it was mostly legit, let's say, granted that was the case, which I could believe that. Let's say that. So they intended it for it to be ugly then, or like nonsense, right? And part of it was that, although you could have other descriptions of it, but part of it was for it to be unpleasant to the eye.
For those that are unpleasant, yeah, like for example, there was one called like Art Brut, which is like the people. It's almost like what's called expressionism, but it's supposed to be like brutal art. Like it's supposed to be so low, like. Not quality, but kind of low quality, where it's just like a stick figure almost, and it's supposed to be like this direct, like aggressive impulse of expression that like should appeal to people on a very fundamental level when you look at it,
But generally, those abstracts painting from the past that you say are legit, do they strike you as beautiful to the eye?
It depends. Like, I mean, Pollock's work, yes. Rothko's work, yes. Like all the abstract expressionists, like I like that painting a lot. Minimalism, some people do a nice job of that, and I mean, I like some of that. And then the Impressionists, of course, are beautiful. Like, I like a lot of the Expressionist paintings. I don't like postmodern work. I think that's probably like my least favorite.
Which one's postmodern?
Postmodern stuff is like after pop art, and I like pop art too, So I like stuff and everything, yeah. But like postmodern, I have like the most trouble with because like the aesthetics are so cynical a lot of the time.
What would be like a postmodern? Like what would be something? What would it look like, for example?
Well, that's the problem.
Like one example, for example.
It's so. In all the other periods of art, there's like a sort. You can kind of figure out like, oh, here's the theme that connects these works.
Okay.
But with postmodernism, you really lose that.
Okay.
It becomes so down to the individual level of like the individual personality. It's hard to think of like a couple aesthetic guidelines, but it's like you see a lot of like crazy like juxtaposition, meaning it's like you'll see things that really don't belong together being associated together. Okay. So you see a lot of like those crazy kinds of associations. You'll see just like a weird object, it's like it tends to like hit you very like head on. There tends to be a lot of shock involved with it.
I remember when I went.
It'd be like a nun shitting on a plate, and somebody her tits are like screaming skulls. It's supposed to mean something about.
It sounds pretty good.
When I went to the Whitney, I remember like some guy was walking around, and he's like, "I don't understand these paintings. I'm having trouble here," something like that.
Should have hung out with that guy.
Yeah.
That's so
They should, maybe museums need to be like, have like, it's like they have those guards that stand around and tell you like not to touch stuff, but maybe like they need to like marry that job with like people that are like art historians, or at least like have a little bit of training. It's like, you don't need to know everything, but it's like, you're going to stand in this room, you're going to learn about the collection so that like when people look utterly baffled, I mean, like, you can get the audio tour thing, which I guess is cool, but it would be nice if, like, there were people there who could, like, explain the painting a little bit to you.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Even like, granting that people originally may have had genuine things to say when they made that kind of art, I just don't like that, It's just, like, I don't know. It just, even if I could grant you that it's not nonsense, and I grant that I'm sure a lot of them were in nonsense based on that explanation, right. I still don't like it,
Yeah, and that's totally cool. And trust me, you're not alone. Like a lot of people,
I think I think it's most people very, of course you have to scale it, but generally I think people wouldn't like that.
Yeah. Right?
It's probably fair to say.
I think in general, yeah, people wouldn't enjoy that in such a way that it's like, like I was playing a nice, fun match of FIFA against Eric yesterday.
Oh yeah, I want to get.
Yeah, it's really a wonderful game.
It means you got
I
to
love it.
7
I
years.
think it's a fantastic game. Yeah, like 10 years ago. I want to get FIFA. Now you're like, I want FIFA. But, you know,
FIFA good.
there's a lot to the game. It's like a really cool game with all the
I
complexity.
played the old school one. By old school, I mean like 2007. You know?
Yeah, even that, you know, is a lot of complexity. But this one too, it's like, and then Eric was kind of like breaking down for me. It's like how to like switch out players and stuff like that. And you know, as we're playing, he's just explaining like, oh, then there's like this kind of other dimension to the game that you have to like work with and figure out. And it's like, I was like, wow, that's something you can really love about soccer. But like, if you didn't have that interest, like, it would be such a tedious thing to like try and figure those things out, right?
What dimension would that be?
What do you,
He's saying there's a deep, like there's the playing of the game, and there's like a deeper dimension that you get into.
Oh, there's like the tactical dimension. You can literally play with what's given to you, or you could adjust, you know, down to the individual.
Oh,
you
getting
know
the
what I
players
mean?
based on their skills.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like where they stand, you know, what actions they take. Like, if you
Oh,
want
okay.
them to
And
sit
you like
back
getting into
or
all
run
that.
out. Not all the time. Like, there's games that do that more. Like, there's Football Manager, which is like, if you thought FIFA was a little heavy, like that's. way
Oh,
over.
it takes that to the
And then
extreme.
there's PES, Pro Evolution Soccer, which is a cut above FIFA, which has you could get really nitty gritty with the tactics.
Really?
And that's the one. I don't know if I explained to you about the Fortune Cup a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember.
That's alright. I don't know if you know. Do you know about Fortune?
Yeah.
So you know they have like different boards.
Yes.
So somebody organized like a soccer tournament between all the boards. So all the boards would come in and they would vote for what players they want, and the players would be like based on like memes, and then somebody would create them. You know, because you can create characters in Pro Evolution as
Okay.
opposed to FIFA, where it's kind of like whatever. And you can import 3D models, so there's like weird people and stuff.
Oh,
That's cool.
shit.
Like I forgot one of the boards, they made them all like Nazis and stuff.
Oh
And,
my
it was really
God.
bad. And one of the guys was called Jews, and he was just a giant nose. Like, it gets real fucked up. But anyways, the point was you could set all that stuff up, but it wasn't. It was AI versus AI, and like they would elect someone to be the manager, and they'd set up all the tactics, and then they'd let the two tactics and the AI battle it out.
Okay.
So and then they would broadcast that live, which is kind of cool. So PES is a cut above that, and then there's like Football Manager, which you can't even play. It's just a manager thing.
Wow, that's crazy.
That gets like real deep.
Do
And
you like that level or no?
that level is like I'm trying to get into it, but it's a bit deep, and it's like I don't have that kind of time to like really delve
It's like
in.
It's like a RPG.
Yeah,
art,
you,
like,
you can start as like
strategy
a
thing.
fitness coach, and then that's all you worry about for like a
It's
while.
like you're gonna like work out like, all right, the nutritional routine for the players, like, all right, only like this many calories.
Yeah, and then you can have like talks and stuff, you know, before the games, like pre-match.
You get psychotherapy for like
Press
the players that have emotional issues.
Give him LSD.
Yeah. LSD
That's like
treatment.
World of Warcraft time suck. Did you ever play that?
I had a week trial, like years and years, when it was still like getting hot.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was and then kept playing forever. He was like sucked into that shit. I never like saw him again.
You never liked it?
No, I had played games like that before, you know, like MMORPGs. Like I played this one, it's called Night Online, which was free. I played Space Cowboys, which was the same kind of thing, but you're in spaceship. It's like spaceship combat. I played like some other random ones, some like 2D ones, just Tibia, which was like an old one. There's a lot of Brazilians on there, but that one was like a real fun one. But then I played World of Warcraft, and I'm like, this is the same shit. I'm just going around like smacking the fucking mouse button and killing shit, and then getting a reward for it, then buying better gear, and then killing shit,
Yeah.
getting a reward for it, buying better gear. Like that's all it was, and it, you know, you have to pay for it on top of it monthly. Like I'm not
Yeah.
paying monthly just to like waste my fucking life.
I got for like a year or two. I got like obsessed with that game like in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. I can never like.
I got super into it.
It's too much. I think if I was younger, if I was in middle school or something, I could really get into it. But after like high school years, I could never get into like any RPGs. Like,
Yeah,
it's
after high school-
it's
after
too
high
much of like a time sink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
At this point, I could never play that. Hell no.
Yeah.
Even like a regular game, I feel like I can't even play that. you
I know, I can't even play StarCraft, you know, because it's so... They should have like a StarCraft Lite, where it's like, if you're a noob, you can play and like
Yeah.
be
You just play
competitive.
original StarCraft.
Yeah. They're still pretty complex.
That's harder than StarCraft 2.
Really?
Yeah, because StarCraft 2 has more little tricks and things that, like, ways that, like, You know, like you can waypoint the units like and tell them to do like a series of orders. You couldn't do that, and like
Yeah, you can. You hold down, I think, Control,
I don't know.
and you right click, and then you right click an order, and they'll go.
Oh, maybe. Well, anyway, I still think there's reasons that I can't remember right now, but StarCraft 2 is definitely like less complex,
Really?
I think, than StarCraft 1.
StarCraft 2 can get complicated, but the good thing is that you can still play it casually, I think, because, you know, like, it's a game ends fast, you know? Like, you can play an hour, you can play, let's say, 3 long games, or it feels kind of long.
I don't know.
I get too
We
much
had
of a
some
panic
drag out
attack.
matches.
Well, maybe not 3 games. Maybe an hour, you can play 2, like, decent games, let's say. And then, like, that's it. You don't have to keep playing, you know?
Yeah.
As opposed to RPGs, like, oh, I have to kill this boss, and then this is, you know...
Yeah,
It
I
did-
can't save here.
Yeah, that's true. It did feel good when I was starting to beat people in StarCraft 2. I was like, yes.
I remember you would get upset when we lost and stuff, but like I thought it was like there was it was absurd in a funny way, because I feel like in real life you could handle like so much and you're like so measured. In StarCraft, like you get upset.
Yeah, we got ass and handed to us so many times.
Like
Like
you're
StarCraft.
like juggling all these things in real life, but StarCraft is like, oh, you know, like, I can't do
Stresses
this.
me out.
I think it's because you invest also a lot. To me, I like StarCraft because I like building my whole like foundation of people and all my army and stuff.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
my army ready to fuck shit up.
Yeah.
But when I play online, like I don't have that comfort of sitting back and kind of, you know, building up my people.
Yeah, you
And
get crushed instantly.
it's everyone's just like, oh, Zerg Rush, you know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
it's like it's too much happening. I'm just like always like
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
the Koreans just typing away on this and I'm like, ah.
I do feel like it.
Kiss, kiss, kiss.
I would get a panic attack or something.
I couldn't keep playing that, man. It's too much.
Yeah.
And same thing, like some matches, I feel they would fly by, but it'd still be like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
You know? So that's why I kind of like games like FIFA or like Rocket League, because it's just pure reflex.
What's Rocket League?
It's the same thing. We could have played that yesterday. It's basically soccer with cars, and the cars could jump. It's like an online game.
Oh, okay.
You play it with other people in your own team.
Is it free?
It's a fun game. No, it's like $20 though.
Soccer League?
No, Rocket
League. Sorry, I'm mixing the.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
and then the best game is this one that Eric has. It's called Nidhogg, right?
Yeah.
Not Wim Hof, Nidhogg. And it's like an 8-bit game. Looks like an Atari game, but it's like the object is you have to like run all the way like to the end of, there's like a finish line, and you're trying to kill each other. And it's like really like a simple looking game, and you kill each other. Like once I kill, like we're both trying to go the opposite way, and if you kill me, then I'll respawn like again a little down the line, and you have to keep like battling me until you get to the very end, right?
That's cool.
And it
It's
is
kind of like tug of war in the sense.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And then, but there's a bunch of different dynamics. Like there's little swords you have, and you can fight with the sword, and there's a little sword fighting mechanic.
Yeah, you can like fence by like raising like your position of the sword, and that can knock out the sword from the hand. Or
Is that for PC?
Yeah.
yeah, I think they have it for other platforms too.
Yeah.
But it's a cheap game, maybe like $3.
Is it a Steam
Probably.
game?
Yeah, it's Steam.
There's so many Steam games. I feel like video games became, especially with Steam, video games became in a way like art. There's so much of it, and it's so hard, you know, for people who even like making a video game is similar to trying to be successful from making an album, you know? Like there's so much of it, so hard to get traction, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like,
But man, some beautiful work like that.
Yeah, that game did well.
That game is just like, and I like the way Eric described it yesterday. It's like, I don't know. These aren't his words, but it's like it's kind of complete. You know, it's like a nice, beautiful, clean statement. You know, it's like you interact with that game, and it's very like, I don't know.
Excuse me.
what game is that called again?
Nidhogg,
Nidhogg.
NIDHOGG.
You can play that online?
Yeah, but I think the online isn't as good.
It's better like with a person.
I think there's like a little lag from what I've heard. Like
Oh,
it's
really?
not, because it's like you need some like quick reflexes and stuff too. So it's it's better like one-on-one. But it's a fun game. And then there's like options too you could change, which I didn't do, but you can alter the gameplay. Like you could, so you have your sword, you could stab, you could throw your sword too, then you lose your sword. Like there's an option like boomerang swords where you throw it and like after a while it just like slows down and like goes back the opposite way.
Right.
So that adds like a lot of like extra mechanics too.
Changes
All
things
sorts of other stuff.
But you can't catch the sword though; it'll just kill you, right?
No, I mean you can hit the sword with another sword. You know, there's like another way. Like you could rip someone's head off and then use their spine as a sword. That's
shit.
also an option. But it's a very simplistic game the way the graphics are, and it's very fluid though. Because of the simplicity, you get that, and your brain fills out a lot of space. So it's like it's very simple. It's perfect because it's simple and it's cut. It's like the bare bones elements that you would need for fun. You know, you don't need anything else, and it is a very complete game in that essence. There's 4 levels, but each one has the perfect amount of differences where
Yeah,
it's a fun game. It's a fun game.
beautiful, and the music, man, the music is so cool. It's like this really great 8-bit music. That's cool.
So to awkwardly and abruptly change the subject, you were saying that you were investing already.
Oh, yes.
So what did you invest in?
I invested in mostly energy, actually, now that I think about it. And I got some stuff in renewable energies. I found this group, like this company that looked really good. The stock price was pretty low. And like, I invested in a couple of shares of that.
How did you, with who did you invest through? Or you,
Robinhood.
Oh, is that an app or something?
Robinhood is no fees trading.
Is it through an app?
Through an app, yeah.
So you do it on your phone?
You can do it online too.
Do you do that too?
I was using my browser.
I told
So you use that too?
Yeah, so he referred me. So when you refer somebody, you get a free stock. It's like, you get like, it's like in Super Mario where Toad gives you like the 3 chest options. You gotta pick a random chest and then you get like a random stock.
I'm so bummed because they were like, when they advertised it, like get a stock of Apple or Amazon, which like Amazon's trading at like 1,000 something a share. Apple's like, I don't know, ridiculous amount of money too. And then I got a fucking stock of Sirius XM trading at like $7 or something a share.
I got like Zynga or something, which was like $5.
Oh, so they give you like their lowest thing or whatever?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, maybe 1 in like 1,000 chance you'll get a nice like blue chip stock.
Also, they give you a random one?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
random.
you can kind of pick it,
but who knows?
It's like 3 floating question marks, but they're probably all the same answers.
Yeah, it's all. I was thinking, I was like, the one on the right.
So how much stock did you buy?
I'm in about $500.
So for you all into one thing?
No, I'm diversified.
You gotta diversify.
So I have like, let's say like the one it's called Pattern Energy Group. I have the most money in that one. I have like 12 shares, and I bought those around like $18, and that company I feel like is going to be good. They seem pretty strong in like that sector. And one thing that really blew me away was like when I looked at their quarterly earnings, like you'll see like the projected earnings and then like the actual earnings. They outpaced their projected earnings by like a ridiculous margin. And so I don't know if that's like a good sign. I believe it is. And then when I looked at like their historical business cycle, they tend to do really well in the summer too. I think, understandably, probably because it gets hot and everyone starts freaking out about global warming. And then, causes that stock's value to go up. So I feel like that's a stock where I'm going to see like a nice return. Then I invested a little bit of money in another solar company just because it was cheap.
What are they called?
Vivint, the one that do like the solar around here.
It's interesting you mentioned that because we just got a new customer at the bank who is a solar. They're called Conti Solar. Have you heard of them by any chance?
No. Should I sell all my Vivint stock and invest in insider trading right here on the podcast? This will be for the premium subscribers.
I don't know. Maybe they're doing
the Patreon.
Yeah, if you support us on Patreon, you get all the insider stock info.
They're definitely doing really well. We just got them. They're like they took.
Are they public?
They're not public. Okay, they can't. Never mind. They're not public.
Let me know when they might be going public.
Yeah, that's the point. I guess you can't invest in them. But yeah, they're doing well. They took out a $30 million loan.
All right,
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good.
That's a lot of millions.
You got their balance sheets and all that shit?
yeah. Like I know like their entire life, or have access to it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But,
Anyway.
so you were saying, so how does it work with that? So you obviously buy the stock from whatever company that you do. I guess you research the company, right?
Yeah.
And then you buy the stock, and then let's say let's say you sell the what you have, the shares that you have.
Right.
How does that work? So let's say now the shares that I have are worth $300. You know what? I want them. I want those $300. Fuck these shares.
You just sell.
So then let's say you sell them. You wait till somebody to buy it, I guess, right? Or how does it work?
No, you can trade them like instantly. I mean, it's like if the
Does
market.
Robinhood take a cut?
I forget. No, they don't. I forget there is like.
How does that work?
Yeah.
If you have, they don't take a cut. If they have, I forget the way they have another tier of membership, like again, like the gold thing. Like if you move up to that tier, you get extended trading hours. So you can do aftermarket trading, which I guess like maybe day traders and stuff like that will take advantage of. Like I don't know too much about that, and they make money off of that. And then I think they also will take. I think the only fees they take are like the fees that are like state mandated. It's like once you like invest so much, like the state does have to take like a tiny amount, but it's really insignificant.
So let's say you sell your shares today for $300. You can just sell them. There doesn't have to be a buyer, right? You can just sell them.
Yes.
Right? And you get your $300 when? Say I sell it today. I get it $300. When do I get it right away?
I don't know because I haven't sold them yet, but I imagine it's pretty quick. You know.
Do you know?
I do not know. Not yet, at least. I assume it's somewhat soon, within like 3 to 5 days.
So the stocks that you bought, you also bought them through that?
I haven't bought anything yet because my bank isn't on like their pre-approved list. So I got.
So you haven't bought Robinhood stuff yet?
No, I just have the free one. I'm just waiting for the amount to get deposited and withdrawn, so I can like be like, you deposited 2 cents and withdrew 3 cents or whatever.
Yeah.
You know how they
To
do
confirm
sometimes.
the account.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're gonna. Oh, so if your bank isn't approved through it, how are you gonna do it? You just take like you do it through a different bank.
So, if it's not on the pre-approved list, they do some shit. Now they said like I'm approved. I just have to confirm the amount. So between the other day and Wednesday, they said they're gonna withdraw and deposit an amount, and then I have to confirm that amount basically.
Oh, so like so the Robinhood people wanna confirm your bank.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's like they'll deposit $1.36 and then withdraw like $1.25, and then I have to input that amount just to like.
Oh yeah,
verify
I've seen that. I've seen that
Yeah.
happen actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
So
don't have like a big bank, so
well, what's your bank again?
I have New York Community Bank
Oh, okay. So
or Garden State Community Bank, a subdivision of New York Community Bank.
that's interesting. So
Previously
you currently you haven't bought any stock.
No, I just have that Zynga stock that I got for free, which is the Farmville people. It's like that parent company.
Yeah, I gotta look into that more. But I look into the Robinhood one. Yeah, I gotta start those conversations.
So that looks
too.
hot. It's like I got money just sitting there. It's like, what's that money?
It's a good thing to learn, definitely.
It is.
Now that I feel like so much more peaceful, now I have so much more room to learn more things too.
Yeah, I will direct you to the same person I directed Eric to, Ryan Scribner. So he's the one.
His YouTube videos and stuff.
Yeah, you should check him out because he's got everything on there, and he talks like
How to about the stocks,
yeah.
but not specifically Robinhood, just in general.
He does have a video on Robinhood, and that kind of changed everything, right? Because you used to have to pay market fees like every time you made a transaction.
And
Like,
Robinhood is all free.
it's free, So that's why, like, if you look at his video from like 2 years ago, he's like, don't invest until you have $1,000 because you're going to lose so much on like the market fees, like trading through the broker, that like it's not going to be cost effective. But then
Right.
it's like, that's different now. It doesn't matter. And that is exactly what Robinhood wanted to do. Like Robinhood, they wanted, the people there wanted to access like a whole market of people that like are would-be investors, but don't have the same amount of capital.
To get a broker and all that.
Yeah. And to say like, cause if you wanted to do, it's like if you're paying like $7 per share, for your transaction, that's a lot of money, and you have to be ready to lose a lot that way too. So it's like, I feel like it lowers the risk a lot for you if you're just trading for free, because it's like you could buy one share for $5 and just like watch what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure on the high, I don't know, I guess like anything else, on the high levels you would need a broker maybe, or you would have to learn those levels, right?
I guess so. I mean, but it depends what you're doing, I think, and it seems like, I forget, I think it might be Predictably Irrational or another kind of psychological book, but they found like that experts like are only right like 50% of the time anyway.
Right.
So it's
I
like,
don't think it was predictably irrational then. Might have.
Okay.
different
He's
book.
just making that up.
Yeah.
it might be that other
fake source.
fake
Ian
news.
Costello said. Okay. No, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
Who's that?
Oh crap! I mean,
Rusty.
James said.
Yeah.
I'm awkward to cut that in. Like what? James said. Wait,
Put some static over that.
Yeah.
Or
But-
put the Hot 97 foghorn.
I'm excited for it, and I'm trying to educate myself.
Yeah.
It could be fun. I feel like my new scheme in life is somehow make a bunch of money out this and quit my job.
You could
Although that's most likely not gonna happen.
be a day trader.
Yeah.
But that's
I could buy a suit and like be a hot shot and call people assholes. Hey, you know what I do? That kind of person.
Look, the point is, it's like, if you invest, like, reasonably intelligently, and this is what I was telling RT yesterday, it's like, the market has a history of, like, a 10% return on average, So it's like, if you stick with that, and you do your homework, and, like, you follow, like, a couple of key principles...
At least you'll make some money, yeah.
You will, and it's like, one shocking thing that Ryan Scribner talks about is, like, the rate of inflation is something like 1.6% a year, right? And if you put your money in a savings account, what's the interest on a savings account?
Nothing.
It's not outstripping the 1.6%. You're losing money. Your money loses value as you put it in the bank because the rate of inflation is way faster than the interest that you're earning on your money in the bank, So it's like, you might as well make the money like work for you,
Yeah.
Did you say anything about Bitcoin?
He does have a video on Bitcoin. The one I watched is he was kind of saying that there's all of these other coins that are like ICOs, like initial coin offering, like people generating like new cryptocurrencies.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that those are like scams, not to do that. But I don't think he was talking about Bitcoin or Ethereum or Ripple in those. I think he was talking about all these hundreds of other ones. And, that are just speculative. And that's like the problem. Like that's the thing about it. It's like speculation. It's like understanding speculation versus like real value.
Yeah, I'm sure things get confusing. Yeah, I know, like you remember that rich guy that I've mentioned multiple times, who's like semi of a dick at times. Like he doesn't like He doesn't like doing stocks, for example. Like he does, but very little. Very little to him is probably
only $50 million in stocks.
Yeah, very little. Who knows what very little means for him?
Yeah.
But he does a very little.
How do you know? Did he tell you? Like
he
It's like fuck stocks. He whips up his shirt. He's got fuck stocks. Like that
well, he told the lady that I work with, because she would be the lady that I work with. Like I'm her. Then I told like I'm like the sidekick of the high level people.
Mm-hmm.
So she would be the one who sets up his like the loans that he wants and stuff like that. So he has to tell us all his financial information, like what he does, where his money comes from, and all that. Like so, like the bank knows like everything that he does. So yeah, like she'll tell him, and then she'll tell me. And I'll just like ask about him because he's like fascinated. So I'll just like pry into his life through her.
Yeah.
So he said he does a very little, but yeah, who knows what very little means? But I guess he doesn't like that kind of risk. He'll like invest in like real estate. He likes a lot more.
Yeah, people like real estate.
Yeah. So
but
that's physical.
It is, and I mean, it's like when I listened to this book.
But who knows what his reasons are? Maybe for his business, his purposes, better not to. But maybe for somebody else, it is. Like
yeah. When I listened to Ryan Scribner, like one of the first books he recommended was like Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is on YouTube and you can listen to. I listened to that whole thing in like 2 days, and then
that's that 6-hour one, right?
Yeah, and then like the guy who wrote that, Robert Kiyosaki or whatever his name is, he really likes real estate too, and he does some crazy shit where he kind of does it like the stock market, where he's like, he buys things like at really low value and just sells them. But like, I think what works for him is like, he has a lot of like capital ready to make an investment. So like, he'll buy like a foreclosed property.
Right.
And then like, he just, through like a series of like financial like witchcraft, like he'll just turn that shit around, and like without worrying about like fixing it up, like he
won't even like renovate it?
No, like he just takes advantage of like the opportunity, and so like he'll capitalize on the opportunity.
What does he do with it then?
He'll acquire the property and then just resell it to somebody for a higher value.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like he just finds ways to I don't know, like
I just gotta just be good at finding those opportunities.
And that's the thing, like that's what he does, is like he was saying, like he'll go and jog in neighborhoods, like looking for like properties, like paying attention to like where things are, like, and by being in that industry for a long time, like he knows how to spot trends, he knows how to pay attention to like what's going on so that he can make the best decisions. but he also has like an incredible amount, and that's like one of the things he talks about like in that book is how you have to keep developing your financial literacy. And
Yeah.
the more you know, the more you're capable of. And so
Exactly.
that's why he does things like where he'll have money, he'll put it in a certain security, and then like when he needs it, he'll get it back. Like none of his money is like sitting there. All of his money is like tied up like in other things, like that's spread out like through all these different industries, you know?
That's what this rich guy does too.
And then he just like weaves it together like as he needs it, you know? It's like if he needs capital for something, like he just generates the capital from like one of his other things, buys this. And yeah, and like that's like the big philosophy of like the book is like poor people like save their money or waste their money on like liabilities.
Yes.
Whereas the rich, they always are accumulating assets, and assets make you money.
Yes.
So what the wealthy people do is their money is working for them all the time. You know, his $1 million is not sitting in a bank losing out to inflation. His $1 million is tied up in real estate, which is returning him like tens of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
which he then reinvests into his
Right.
next
The
project.
thing about real estate, I guess, you have to have the money to be able to attain the property.
That's
you
what
know?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
You need the capital to
Yeah,
do it.
own-
Or yeah, I mean,
start off your shit with the risk.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
wanted to, you know. But
but like those, like, you know, that was a crucial point of the literacy of things, just like with anything, because I know that, you know, the way people talk, you know, not when they're trying to convince you of something, or when, you know, they exaggerate one thing or minimize another for like their own benefit, you know, to make the deal better for themselves, you know.
right.
So if you have more knowledge, like you'll notice when they do that, you know.
Yeah.
Just like when somebody's bullshitting you in other aspects of life, like when whoever you talk to is bullshitting you, the more educated you are, the more likely you are to notice when they're distorting the facts, you know.
Yes.
And it's so subtle how people lie. It's so subtle, you know.
I think people don't even realize they're doing it a lot of the time. You
I
know?
mean,
think-
the most skilled people probably do realize that,
Yes.
but like some people maybe don't.
yeah,
Because people, I'm sure people purposely do it. Because I purposely do it, and like at the bank, like I mean, that's part of it, like semi-corrupt, I guess, in a way. But I exaggerate, I minimize things very subtly for my own benefit, you know. And I see how like I'm manipulating things to my advantage, you know.
yeah,
And it's like you gotta be such a close eye on things to not get people to do that to you, you know.
yeah. It's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. But I think it is like wise to start like thinking in terms of like accumulating assets
Yes.
over liabilities.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And
definitely.
then that's just what I've been doing now. And then it's, you know, passive income, like those sorts
Yeah,
of things,
yeah.
you know. So
There's some guys called, I don't know, have you heard of Kaplan Companies?
I've heard of like Kaplan like learning and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe they're associated with that too. Who knows? But there's some guys called Kaplan who, like, our bank does. There's some guy named Jim who's really cool. He's nice to me, at least. He's the one who does business with them in our bank. And those guys, they started out like literally in a concentration camp. Like they were like in a
shit.
concentration camp. Like they still have like the numbers in there.
Oh my
Like
God.
yeah, and like
And
they
they're,
went
like-
from that to becoming like insanely rich. And now they own like the strip malls. So you know, like you know the like in Harrison, the strip mall, little strip mall.
Mhm.
The
They
shoe
own
strip
the
mall?
whole thing.
They don't know that one, but like you know those kind of strip malls.
That's what they
Like
own.
they would own the
The whole
property,
property.
the property of all of it,
Yeah.
and they own multiple ones of those. So like multiple whole malls, they own the whole property of everything. Like that's like all of it is theirs.
Man. It's crazy.
That's so awesome. Like from like concentration camp to that, it's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty impressive, you know.
Those Jews, yeah.
yeah,
Fuck.
Yeah.
They do it up.
yeah.
They persevere. I guess after like an event like that, do you persevere? You don't just. If you would have given up, you would have been gone already. The survivors are like straight, like they'll survive anything. After, After
Yeah.
a concentration camp, everything else is like dog shit.
Yeah, I think it's one of those cases, kind of when you know, like a lot of musicians that we like, they have tragic lives, and like that tragedy, like inspired them to be like amazingly creative, you know.
Put everyone in concentration camps.
Well, so I think it's similar to that with like other fields in like business or any other field, you know. A lot of the time, it's maybe it is like something horrible might have happened to that person, you know, and that made them like this rich asshole guy. I don't know if I told you this, but like did I tell you he lost his father when he was 10? Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, like he lost his father when he was 10. And I'm like, I would put my money on that probably inspired him to, you know, become super successful, you know?
Mm.
So like he didn't come from anything either. Like nobody handed him anything. I asked like the lady whose name is Diana, I'm like, did he inherit all this? She's like, no, he didn't have anything. So it's just like he's one of those guys too, you know.
No, he's wheeling and dealing.
Yeah. It's crazy shit.
Yeah, it is.
So maybe a few more things. How's the work life right now?
Well, I'm gonna be done. It's a fucking disaster, honestly. Out of like 12 teachers, 6 of the teachers I work with are leaving.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like we're turning over like our whole staff, plus the principal is leaving.
Because they're all fed up.
I think
A combo.
Yeah, I think it's like that. I mean, a couple people I talked to, they were like, "Oh, well, the principal is leaving, so it seemed like an opportune time because if I want like a good referral, this guy knows me." And,
You went to different schools?
yeah. So everybody's gone, you know, and I'm so like, I guess I'm a little resentful because I wish I was going someplace else too, but I'm just gonna be stuck there. A lot of them have worked there, not a lot, but some of them have worked there much longer than myself, and.
Are you starting to think about? Remember, you were saying to create a new position for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like I was thinking about it, and I was looking about like I think what I would have to do is like I have to really like understand the board members, and as I try to understand the board and like the way like decisions get made at the school, like I don't know, I'm gonna have my meeting with the principal.
You think it's just too convoluted to get in there?
Yeah, because I don't think there's any like money to be had. You know, they're cutting our guidance counselor. I don't know if I told you this. So the guidance counselor position is getting like eradicated.
Really?
Yeah. So they're doing like all of these things to like cut spending because
Inner city kids with no counseling.
I know. So we were all like, this is like the craziest thing, you know, that you would take that away. And now it's like in some way or another, now teachers are going to get saddled with like guidance counselor responsibilities.
Oh, no.
you
You're
know?
gonna have to do that maybe?
Yeah.
Or
Because
definitely?
we already have an advisory program, which we rolled out this year, which we had to write the curriculum for, which is usually a job you would get paid for if you write curriculum, but they just want us to write the curriculum. Now we're rewriting the curriculum for next year, and that's probably going to include like being
The guidance bullshit.
guidance counselors.
So now they're adding more responsibilities to your job without paying you more?
Yes.
Oh, that's bullshit.
And then, you know, hence like why a bunch of people are leaving, because that seems to be the general theme and trend at this
And that's
school.
going to create a lot of bitterness.
Yeah, it does, you know, and that's the thing, like, people don't want to do that shit, you know, all these people that work there, they have teacher friends that would be making, like, way more money too, you know, if we're doing, like, the number of responsibilities that they ask for us for no compensation. And then, like, another thing, it's like, we have to constantly cover each other's classes, like, if one of my colleagues is out, I'll probably have to cover, or they'll cover me, blah, blah, blah. In any other school situation, you would be compensated for that. If I had to, like, lose a prep period to cover another teacher's class, I would get a stipend of, like, $80 or $100.
You don't
for
get
it.
anything.
Nothing.
That sucks.
And what kind of we discovered, too, is, like, they're not even contacting, like, a roster of substitute teachers. So they're making us do it to save money, too.
Oh, man.
So it just seems like I don't know. Like, I want to ask the principal. It's like, why does this school really exist? You know, like, what is like the function of this school? You know, because it doesn't seem like, I don't know. It's hard to understand the school. I mean, I don't understand the board members that are in the power to be making these positions. It's like what their perspective is. And it doesn't seem like there's much money to be had. You know, they're not like doing these things for anybody.
Yeah,
Because they bought a building. You know, they bought another building so that they could put the upper school in that building. So now it's like they're doing all these budget cuts, you know.
As a board member, do they make a lot?
The board members, I scoped them out a little bit. They tend to be like, you know, well-to-do people, yeah. But I don't know. I'm curious to know if like they make money off of the school itself, which I don't think they do, but I'm not sure.
Like their salaries are high, but they don't make extra from the school. You mean?
I don't know. I'm
You
trying
don't
to
know
figure
their
it out.
salaries.
No, I mean they all have jobs, you know, like their board memberships are.
Oh, like a side thing.
Yeah.
So they do like they might be teachers.
No, they tend to be like attorneys or you know they're like power people, you know.
Oh, okay.
They're not teachers though.
Okay.
There's one I think there's one person who's like on the board that's the head of the parent association. So she is like the connection between the parents and the board. But, you know, and that's the lower school though.
Well, she's what?
Like the connection between the parents of the students and the board.
Oh, okay.
Right? But the thing is, it's like she's representing the lower school, which are like the affluent kids not our kids, you know. And that's the kind of thing. And what they've told me, like what I've heard people talk about is basically it's like you get money from the state called Title I money, and like the Title I money is like determined by the income levels of the students, you know. So if the students have like a low income level, like you get more money. That's the understanding I have of it. And so it's like so there's all this Title I money that gets brought in because the upper school kids are all coming from urban areas like Jersey City and other parts of Hoboken, blah blah blah. These are like the poor kids, quote.
So where's that money going?
It's like, you know, it's like this like parasitic thing, you know. It's like it's funding the Title I money is funding both schools, right?
Oh.
But it's like, if you really think about it, it's like that money is, and I mean, this is kind of like speculation. I don't look at the books, you know, I don't know what's going on here, but it seems like, and it sounds like the upper school gets a lot of funding because of the student population there.
Oh,
and
they're taking the money from you guys to giving it to them?
And the student population in the lower school benefits from this fact. Because if the demographic of the upper school was the same as the lower school, where it's like affluent kids from Hoboken who have like, you know, powerful parents and stuff and wealthy parents, then we would not be receiving the same funding. And the school would probably not be able to operate.
So they're using you as like a money magnet. Like
Yes.
all the poor,
Yeah.
deprived children.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so like, so they're taking money from the rich people and like they're like throwing you the scraps.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that. And I mean, this might, again, like, this is all, like, dramatized, like, from my, like, lowly perspective as, like, a teacher working with the upper school kids. And I don't know, you know, only more the account officer, you know, really knows what's going on.
It might be like that. Who knows? Sometimes it seems like the overly cynical perspective, like it can't be that way. But sometimes, like, it really is that way.
It's probably even more,
More cynical than
yeah, it's more tragic.
Or sinister. Who knows? So, what do you think you'll do? Like, you're gonna try to keep pushing like your other adventures?
Yeah, I don't want to stay involved with education and beyond, like.
Or you have to. So you're gonna just like stick it out until you can venture off to other shit.
Well, I already signed a contract for a year, you know, and so I'm trying to be more savvy now, like
get your other ventures going.
in terms of like making money and stuff like that. So I know I'm in for at least another year.
Okay.
And so I'm going to have this summer to continue to like do my work as I've been trying to do and continue to try and develop YouTube channel to work on my 3D skills. So it's like I'm working on my art sense in a lot of different areas, you know, and I want to push those as far as I can. Then I have a whole another year of income that I have to look forward to. And then hopefully this will be my last year, you know, which I had hoped that this year would be my last year. But, you know, it really is like, I just try and use my dislike for the job as a motivation to like get out, you know, just like when I was at washing dishes at Applebee's, it's like, that was a good motivation to get this job. But now that this job is like, is what it is, it's like, this is a strong motivation to continue to pursue like the next level of my, you know, professional development. But the problem is, it's so hard to match like the income of like just a steady job.
Of course.
You know, that's like not something you can match like easily, you know, so I'm going to just play it by ear and just do my best, you know, and if anything, just maybe get my feelers out. But I really do want to gun as hard as I can to like leave this profession because it sucks and I hate it.
fair.
And so, yeah, I just would rather not bother. You
Could
know?
imagine. Send Julie to work.
Yeah.
I mean, send your
My
wife
wife.
to work.
I was thinking of doing that, not like sending her.
Like, sorry, now you're a dishwasher.
Well, you know,
It's
Lee is going to be starting school next year, and I already brought it up to her. It's like, oh, why don't you get a part-time job? You know,
What'd she
like,
say?
and I think she'll be cool with that. You know, she's going to have a lot of extra time now. So
Should go in that coffee shop down the street that you like so much.
that's right. No, that's a family-owned business.
That sucks, though. Can't she get something a little
I'm
better?
fan.
What than a part-time job?
Yeah, like I mean, like, or I don't know. Wouldn't it be? I don't know. Maybe this is too grandiose in the situation, but you know, if she gets like a part-time job being a cashier or something, that's soul crushing. The pay is crap, and it's. I mean, it might help. I guess it help a little bit with the bills.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would though.
Yeah, but what about, you know, like the, you know, it's been so long of, you know, you've been trying to, like we've said before, you're trying to encourage her to do something more, you know, or, you know, maybe she could go to school, or like, situate herself to attain something that's going to be even more useful instead of having a dead end job at a coffee shop that pays nothing and goes nowhere, you know, that she's probably going to get fired from anyway in like a day.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, you know,
Right. Yeah, I guess that would be up to her though, if she wants to like take on a challenge like that.
What do you think? Do you think that's like, forget it and just get the bullshit job and help me out with a little bit with money? Or do you think the ship sunk when trying to do that?
You know, I really don't know. And to be honest, like, I kind of put it out of my mind completely because, like, I figured it would just be more convenient for her to, like, stay home with Lee.
Right.
Make sure everything is, like, working properly in terms of, like, you know, the domestic situation.
Right.
And then, like, I'll bring in the money and do it that way, you know?
Right.
But yeah, like, now that I'm looking, like, learning more about finances, it's like, oh my God, you know, if you brought in, like, $20,000 a year, like, that would be crazy, you know? Like, that would change things so much. And so... yeah, I don't know. It's like...
because you said now that she's going to school, like, she could do something more, right? Or start beginning to.
She would have plenty of time, you know,
right?
to
So,
do
like,
it.
I mean, it just seems like such a waste.
School costs money, though.
What do you mean school costs?
Going to college.
Well, yeah, I mean... yeah, but she could, she could get aid. Like, if you're serious about it, you could get financial aid. I mean, it's a lot of work to get that done. Like, when we put all that work to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but she could pull it off and ultimately be way better situated than if she didn't.
Yes.
But I mean, like, it just seems like a waste to, like, especially like almost at 30 now, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, you're gonna go get a job like that an 18-year-old has, and you just do that for the rest of your life. You know, like.
Yeah.
I mean, not to knock on these jobs, but let's say she does get a part-time job, like, has she ever done, like, waiting before? Like, waitress stuff?
Yeah, I'm sure she has at some point.
Even though it sucks, alright, let's say you're a waiter,
Right.
and you work, like, a few hours a day.
Right.
And so you come in, you make some tips. It's not, like, too bad. It's, like, okay, you could drop, it's like, you blah, 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 drop your kid off, go work for, like, 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
You're not, like, completely spent, you know? You made some extra loot, pick up your kid, and then it's like you can still have enough energy to like kind of hang out with it. Whereas if you have like a full-time job or you're going to school, like she's gonna be fucking spent.
Yeah, but that's what it takes to like get things done.
It is what it takes, but some people don't have what it takes.
Right.
You know, not trying to knock on her, but
It is what it is.
it's like your structure is.
I see what you mean. That is a good point that you can help with the money in that way, and
Right.
maybe have time and still. But like those are jobs that could lead to nothing. You know, like it's good to have some experience in that because customer service, you learn responsibility, but only to a point. You know, maybe like a few years or something. You know, when you're really young. Even me, like I worked shitty jobs for way too long because I was wasting my time trying to do comedy, or arguably wasting my time. But so
you learn valuable skills.
Yeah, so like those skills are useful, and it's good to have those jobs, and you do learn a lot in those shitty jobs. But to a point, like you can. I don't think that's like a good idea to have like. Well, I'm just gonna do that. That's so unfulfilling. The
Yes.
money's terrible. It's degrading, especially when you're old. People already probably being a waiter is already like the lowest thing. Or one of the lowest. And then like being a waiter like a 30 plus, like 40 a waiter, just like that's gonna like destroy your insides. How can you live like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I tend to be the more ambitious one. It's like I have like a sort of vision for the future that I'm trying to like.
So like, yeah, you're good because you're trying to put in hard work to get stuff done, But like, if she's not gonna do that, like, what kind of life is that gonna be?
Well, I mean, that's
for herself. Even if like, let's say you become super successful, which would be great, right? And you can
Yeah.
pay for everything, like. So she's just gonna be okay, like making $10 an hour when she's 45. Even if you don't need that money until like so she does that. She just doesn't do anything. Like that's gonna be okay.
Some people might be okay with that.
Really?
I don't know. Like we're all fucked up in our own weird way, Like I get anxiety about like not doing like anything sometimes, and then I talk to other people and it's like, why would you feel that way? It's like you did X, X, and X. It's like you should, be okay with not like doing something, Although I disagree, but people definitely have different outlooks where they're okay with going,
just being a waiter forever,
or like going to their job and just going home and not doing anything else, like just watching TV and melting on the couch or something like that. Like that's perfectly fine to them. Like they don't, I'm not trying to knock on that and say it's not fine. I don't think, like I wouldn't be happy doing that. I would feel like depressed.
Yeah, I find it very hard to believe that somebody could be happy working a shit job for their whole life. But I mean, like, is it possible? Yes, maybe, or maybe like you're saying, maybe their values are so different that, they look at it very differently, and they're just happy that they don't have that much stress and they get to hang out, right?
Yeah. Like, okay, let's say for instance, I had a nice hot wife, and she was like a doctor or some bullshit.
Okay.
Where it's like I didn't need to make money.
Okay.
It's like I could just like be a stay-at-home dad. Now the kids are going off to college. I'm a bit bored. Let's say I have no like real skills, like I can't play music or do art or any bullshit that I think I can do now. So it's like, all right, it's like I'm just bored. It's like, let me go like get a job. Like, like when I worked at shitty jobs, I had the most fun because I didn't give a shit about them. Like when I worked at like ShopRite, for instance, or at Prudential Center or any of these jobs, like I had fun because the people were fun. I get to hang out, talk shit, blah blah blah. I don't make that much money, but I'm kind of having fun because it's not a stressful job.
So you would be okay with living like that if you were like loaded?
Yeah, I don't think like I've told this to people before. It's like if ShopRite paid me $20 an hour to do that job, I would go back to ShopRite
right now.
That was good enough.
In the past, maybe I would agree more. I mean, it's fine if that's how you feel. I guess that's fine, and if people really feel that way, I guess that's fine. And in the past, I was like, I had a lot more of those feelings of like, I wish I could just do nothing if I had the money, But now, like, I don't feel that way. I feel like the bank has corrupted me and helped me too. And now I feel like I'm becoming like really ambitious,
Good.
And I'm like, I want everything. And I think before I would have been like, God, if only I could just lay down and do nothing all day, If I was rich, I would just do nothing, it would be great. And that sounds horrible now, The rich part sounds great, But the doing of nothing and having like no respect from the society and not being involved in technical things, no intellectual stimulation.
Yeah, I guess I have a point there.
That sounds horrible. But if people really are happy with that, I guess if you don't care that she's gonna like do nothing, essentially, in that aspect of her life.
Yeah.
Like if you're okay with that and she's okay with that, I guess. But are you okay with her like not progressing in that way?
I would prefer for her to like do anything, and I feel like I would like for her to more than anything just like do the thing that she wants to do.
Right. So but like it wouldn't upset you that if she doesn't do that?
It would.
But don't you think it would also upset her? Is she okay with just like doing like nothing in that way?
I think she doesn't know like what she wants to do.
What are does she have to you like any skills that are above normal?
Yeah, she's like a really really good photographer. Like really good, but she doesn't really like she doesn't take herself seriously in that way, which is a shame because she's really good, and it's like she could make fantastic work like if she invested in herself and did more with that.
But do you think wouldn't she personally be upset by not progressing in that way, or you don't think so?
I think so, yeah. I think she's just confused right now and she doesn't know.
Well, how long are you gonna be confused for?
I don't know.
I get confused too. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm confused right now.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like I don't know.
I get you though.
I guess maybe it's not. I guess it's not my problem, But how can you be okay with that, But again, if you are, then okay, you are then.
Right.
It also depends, like, what your goal is, If that falls in line with your ultimate goal, then it's okay.
Right.
If your ultimate goal is just to be, like, let's say, a good parent.
Yeah.
And, like, raise your kid well.
Right.
And if that means working 3 jobs a day at, like, shitty places, then they'll do it as they have done, which happens all the time.
Like that
that's enough of a driving force and a satisfaction kind of thing.
Yeah, that's admirable. People who are like struggling with their kids and I'll go in the morning, I wash dishes, and then I have a cashier job or whatever. Like 3 bullshit jobs, let's say, or shitty jobs. Like there is something admirable about that. Yes, But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess like I like the idea of everybody doing that.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not like my place to be like, you have to do this.
I don't think it could be everyone.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, it's going to sound a little snobby. I think there's a lot of gears out there. Like a lot of people who are just
gears?
Like, gears. Like a lot of people who just are like status quo. Like they won't break above that for the most part. There's always going to be that kind of like brainless slave wage players, as fucked up as that sounds.
No, I realize it more too because I go on, Eric, I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's a bit fucked up because you kind of want everyone to be like this high like being and like the perfect, like, you know, super knowledge and all that stuff, but I don't think everybody can rise to that level. I
No,
think
I
there's a
agree
lot
with
of
that.
people who just
I
like
agree
are
with that.
stuck, and you can't help them out, or
Yeah,
They
I
can
mean,
help
you
themselves.
do have to have like the ability to do that aside from having the opportunity to do it. You know, like yeah,
Yeah.
and then
I like
sometimes you need a support network too. It's like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you don't have the right support network, you
Yeah.
can just like fall through the cracks and you're fucked. You know?
right. Like I felt trapped for so many years in like shitty jobs too. You know, like like how do I get out of this? You're like, where is like the end of this? You know.
that. You were like, I know, I'll get a degree in philosophy.
So yeah, like I mean, a lot of it was my own doing because like for a long time I thought I'm gonna do some weird thing like.
Wait, you have a
farming.
degree in philosophy?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
so I'm gonna do like and a minor in psychology and an associate's degree in liberal arts.
That's
So
not how you
Nice.
talk
Oh
shit.
shit.
The trifecta. Of
Yeah.
nothing.
Exactly. Or the answer of society, nothing. I will still argue that like philosophical thinking is crucial.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I bet you would.
But I think, but yeah, that's another topic. But yeah,
I think that should be a mandatory kind of thing.
I
But
agree.
Then
I
again, it's
agree.
like which philosophy do you
I would do like a critical think, like not
Logic,
not,
yeah.
not to the levels that I took it, but because that's I think like people, not everybody should do that. But I think it should be mandatory to have maybe 2 or 3 philosophy college level classes, like 2 or 3 maybe would be.
I think you
fair.
should start that shit early too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because it really does help you. You know, like it really like stretching your mind in those ways, like in like deep philosophical thinking. Like again, like it leads into everything else. You know, you'll see things that other people won't see because their mind doesn't go that far. You know,
Right.
the person whose mind stretches the farthest sees the most opportunities. You know,
That's the truth.
and like that's a good thing about college. I think that pretty much nobody appreciates, at least the people that I went to college with. Like that is like that was a crucial benefit of going to college, the stretching of your mind. You know, people say like, oh, who cares about this specific topic? Like the topic is just one part of the benefit. Like your ability to understand high levels is at times even more important than the topic itself. You know, that's I think one of the most useful things about higher level thinking. Like you have to train yourself to think on high levels, and it's so obvious when you see people who can't do that. You know, or like they don't see what you can see. And obviously, there's people who are on higher levels than that than me. You know, when I hear like brilliant people talk, they're like, oh, like I wouldn't have thought of that. You know, like they stretched even more. You know, so it's just like not valuing that is just absurd. And maybe you'll pay for it. You know.
See, I like that aspect of college. Like, let's say it's like, oh, I learn about philosophy. It's like, let me go to college and learn about philosophy.
Right.
But then you get there and it's all standardized, and you got to do tests and you got to do papers. And you got to do all this to prove that you've learned.
Right.
It's like, I don't have to prove anything. Just like,
I know what I know.
just teach me shit. And it's like, if I learn, I learn. If I don't, like, I'll fuck off. But it's
The-
like, I don't want to go to college to do math. I want to go to college to, like, learn shit. And it's like,
You
learn
have
shit
to-
I'm interested in. You know?
Unfortunately, based on
that would be cool. Well, you can audit classes too.
You could, but it's like everyone goes to college to hit the goal, to get the degree in that. How do you get the degree in that? Well, we got to do 3 of this type, 2 of this type, 1 of this. It's
Yeah.
like there's no room for philosophy and anything else that would be fun to learn, you know,
Yeah.
to the person at least.
you have to. I mean, I agree with like part of that, and that there's the thing is like in college, I think you have to kind of take it upon yourself to fill the gaps that they're not going to fill for you. Like if you want to learn certain things or like get deeper, like you have to do that. You know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a shame because pretty much nobody will do that.
Yeah, that's what I've been telling the students, you know, like when they go to college, because they're saying like, oh, you know, I hear college is going to be easy. And I'm like, yeah, just try to drive that message home. It's like, it's up to you to challenge yourself. You know, if you want to take the path that everyone's taken, then like, yes, it will be easy. But, you know, to be exceptional, you have to try hard and be exceptional.
Yeah, but like realistically, like almost nobody is exceptional, nor will they ever be. Then there's like high levels under that, and almost nobody will get to that, and a level under that, almost nobody will get even to that.
Yes.
And then like some people will get to like semi-high levels. Most people will be average, and then like you're saying, a lot of people are just like incapable of even reaching the average. You know.
Yeah, and that is the reality.
And, like
you
that's,
know?
yeah, that is the reality.
And that, like you were saying before, it's like the majority of people are average. That's what the word means.
Yeah. Or yeah. That's what there's like the average. Like obviously there's sort of like the average person, you know. And like even like the stuff like we're doing now, like I can see myself reaching higher levels, but I'm still not there, you know.
Yeah.
Like like those people that I talk about, like work with in the band, like I'm nowhere near those kind of people. Like they're owning companies. They're like they're not the manager of the Burger King. They own 7 properties that house the Burger King. So it's like those are insane levels.
Yeah, but that's that's the point we have to like strive for.
Yeah.
And then we'll see this podcast evolve. Soon it'll be broadcast from a.
Antenna.
I was gonna say we'll be like a jet flying somewhere.
Imagine this ends up being like
Conference.
our biggest source of income one day. That'd be so
Oh my
fun.
God.
That'd be so stupid.
That'd be
I'm okay
hilarious.
with that.
That'd
I
be
don't care where
hilarious.
the money comes from.
Yeah, me neither. Passive income.
Yeah, any hole is okay with me. Just stick that big green dick wherever you please. You guys hungry at all?
Yeah, let's go get some
Let's
food.
go, yeah. That's a good thing. We ended it on the left.
Let me just save it real quick.